10 years ago, my husband, Thabo Makona, convinced me to undergo a hysterectomy. We were newly married, building our life in Johannesburg, and he said he didn't want children ever. He wanted us to be free. To travel, to grow businesses, to live without the weight of parenting. I believed him. So I did it. I gave up my ability to have children. For him. For us. And I never looked back. Not until the day Thabo walked through the door holding 2 infants, dark-skinned twins wrapped in faded hospital blankets. I adopted them, he said casually. From a children's home in Deep Sloot. They needed a home, a mother. Please, Linda, raise them. There was no hesitation in my heart. From that moment, I became their mother. I was there through every fever, every scraped knee, every school concert. I stood in the rain during soccer matches, sat in queues at the clinic, prayed through nights when they coughed and cried. I made their school lunches with love, packed their bags with care, and watched them grow with pride. 18 years later, they had made it. I got accepted into UCT. Cypher was heading to Wits Medical School. My heart could have burst with pride. At their college send-off party, held in the garden of our family home in Sandton, Thabo handed me a file. This is just to finalize things, he said, smiling. Let's transfer all our assets to the twins. It's for their future. I didn't even read it. I reached for the pen. But before I could sign, my mother, Mama Nondi, gripped my wrist. Linda, she whispered urgently. Do you even know where those children came from? Thabo just brought them home one day. Are you sure you should be giving them everything? I gave her a soft smile. Don't worry, Mama. Everything will be okay. But Mama broke down. She dropped to her knees in front of me, crying. My father, Baba Mandla, saw her distress, stormed forward, and slapped me across the face. You are a disgrace to the Mackay's name, he roared. You gave up your womb, your life, and now our family's wealth. For what? Still, I signed the papers. Thabo beamed. His eyes sparkled with something I couldn't name. Then, he stepped away from me, walked across the lawn, and wrapped his arm around another woman's waist. She was young. Polished. Wearing a tight-fitting dress that screamed new money. She strutted up and tossed a divorce file at me. Thanks for raising our kids all these years, she said with a smug smile. But it's time for Thabo to come home. To me. It's time for our family to be whole again. I looked at her. Calm. Steady. Fine, I said. But inside, my world shattered. Whispers swirled around the lush garden of our Sandton home like a Joburg thunderstorm about to break. The celebration had turned into a public humiliation, and I was the centerpiece. Haibo, did she just sign over everything? Someone muttered behind the drinks table. After raising those kids for 18 years, another whispered. And now he brings her in front of everyone. Akusalo ikinisolo. Is this really happening? Mama Nandi clutched my wrist, her eyes wild with grief. Linda, she cried, this is what we warned you about. That man, he's been playing you all these years. Wena Yuyamthembela. You trust him too much. She dropped to her knees, right there on the patio tiles. Anjenzini Loku. How could you do this to yourself? Before I could answer, Baba Mandla returned. His face was thunder. You gave him your womb, your life, and now our family's legacy. Are you mad, Linda? Mad? His voice sliced through the murmurs. Everyone turned. He had nothing when he came into this family. Baba shouted. From Alexandra Township. Nothing but borrowed shoes and fake dreams. You remember, Linda, he passed out from hunger at UJ during exams. You paid for his meals. You got him through. Mama's voice trembled as she pointed at Thabo. And when your mother was sick, who paid for her care at Netcare Mall Park? It was us. The Mackay's family. When you married him, we didn't even ask for lobola. We gave him a home. A company share. Even your cousin Sayabonga took in his brother when he lost his job. We treated him like family. Now, the guests began nodding. Murmurs of disbelief turned into murmurs of agreement. But Thabo? He just rolled his eyes. Well, things change, he said, sipping his moat. Linda made her choices. I stared at him, voice barely above a whisper. You told me we didn't need children. You told me to have the surgery so we could live freely. Thabo chuckled. And we did, didn't we? For a while. But now I want more. I want a real family. One with a future. Nokuthela, his so-called colleague, stepped in like she owned the air around her. She was dressed to kill in a tailored emerald dress and red bottom heels. Let's be honest, she said, voice smooth like poison. You weren't meant for motherhood, Sisi. I raised my twins in secret for years while you played house. Gasps. You said, you adopted them, I whispered. Oh please, she laughed. We all knew. You just chose not to see it. From the side, someone muttered, "Aho." He passed off his own children as orphans. This man is a snake. I think those kids are Thabo's from the beginning, another whispered. That's why he wanted the assets transferred. He's securing his bloodline. The truth hit like a freight train. My Ianda. My Sifo. They were never mine. The same babies I'd rushed to Netcare Rosebank with during flu seasons. The same children I'd held all night through fever. My babies. My life. My sacrifice. All of it, a lie. And right then, in the middle of that garden party under fairy lights and linen canopies, Ianda and Sifo walked in. Fresh from fetching their university admission letters, dressed in their new varsity jackets. When they spotted me, their faces turned cold. They walked straight past me and into Nokuthela's arms. Mama, they cried. My knees buckled. Mama gasped. Chloe, she cried, still calling Ianda by the pet name we'd used since she was in nappies. Sifo. She pointed at me, voice shaking. That is your mother. Yena Wakukulisa. She raised you like her own. She nearly died protecting you. But Ianda just rolled her eyes. So what? She's not our real mom. Sifo folded his arms. Exactly. This broke woman. She was just a helper. Then he pulled out a document and slapped it on the table. A DNA test. Everyone stared. Here's your truth, he said, smug. We're Thabo and Nokuthela's kids. Happy now? Whispers swelled into full-blown outrage. She raised someone else's kids and gave them her empire. No, man. This is madness. Poor woman. She gave up her womb for him. And now this. My hands shook. But I didn't cry. I reached into my handbag, pulled out a folder, and calmly laid it beside their DNA results. Fine, I said. What's that? Thabo asked. Severance, I said, voice cool. You don't want me? You don't want my name? My love? Then this ends now. You will have no ties to me. Not in blood. Not in legacy. Not in law. The crowd gasped again. You're just going to let them go? Someone whispered. Ianda laughed. Exactly what I wanted. Sifo sneered. Finally. Now we're free of her. They signed without hesitation. Nokuthila kissed them both on the cheeks. Now, she said, turning to the crowd with a proud grin, this is our family. Thabo joined her, lifting his champagne glass. To new beginnings. But I wasn't finished. I glanced at the clock. Then I turned to the main entrance. Okay, now that the charade is over, I raised my voice. Kids, you may come in now. The gates opened. 2 teenagers in crisp school uniforms walked in. And everyone turned. 5 years later. The Mackay's Foundation had grown into one of the most powerful philanthropic arms in South Africa. We had expanded from education grants and women's entrepreneurship hubs in Gauteng to rural clinic initiatives in KwaZulu-Natal and solar energy scholarships in Limpopo. Nelady now ran our youth empowerment division, having graduated summa cum laude from the University of Pretoria. Kwesi, recently back from his master's at Oxford, was preparing to launch the Mackay's Institute of Policy and Innovation, an incubator for black industrialists across the continent. As for me, I had moved to a modest home in Westcliff, not as large as the Santon estate, but elegant, peaceful, mine. I planted a garden, baked when I could, and mentored young women navigating careers, motherhood, and ambition. My story had gone viral, yes. But I had no interest in being a media figure. My joy was in the silence of peace, the sound of my children's laughter, and the quiet dignity of having survived and risen. One Thursday afternoon, the buzzer rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I answered. Umuntu Osamnyango. Who is at the gate? The voice that crackled back through the intercom was hesitant. Soft. Familiar. You Ayanda, no Sipho, Mama. My breath caught. I hadn't seen them since the court hearing. They stood awkwardly at the gate, grown now, more mature in their faces, dressed not in branded clothes or varsity jackets, but simple, respectful outfits. May we come in? Ayanda asked. I looked at them for a long moment. Then pressed the gate release. They entered slowly, eyes lowered, like children returning from a long punishment. We sat on the patio. Tea was poured. Silence lingered. Sipho was the first to speak. Mama, we are sorry. I sipped my rooibos, calm. Silent. You gave us everything, Ayanda continued. We didn't see it then. We were stupid. Entitled. Nokuthila, she's gone now. She left after the money dried up. Thabo drinks himself to sleep. Sometimes he asks for you. I looked up. Why now? I asked softly. Sipho's voice broke. Because the world out there is hard. And no one ever loved us like you did. Not Nokuthila. Not Thabo. Not even ourselves. Ayanda reached into her bag and placed an old photo album on the table. It was the one I made years ago, scrapbooked with school pictures, birthday parties, drawings they made for me when they were 5. I kept it, she whispered. Even after everything. I stared at the book for a long time. Do you want forgiveness? I asked. They nodded. Do you want restoration? Tears welled in Ayanda's eyes. If you'll have us. I paused. My heart was steady. You may not be my blood. But I was your mother once. That love doesn't die, it just goes quiet. Sipho bowed his head. We want to earn it back. I smiled softly. Then start here. Today. No inheritance. No positions. Just love. And work. They nodded. 1 year later. Linda's 60th birthday gala. The Mackay's family stood together on stage. Nelady gave a speech in ISI Zulu and English, celebrating the legacy of a woman who'd rebuilt her life with grace. Queasy lit up the hall with his humor and intellect. Ayanda and Saifo stood at the back, humble, present, no longer entitled, but grateful. After the applause, I stood before the crowd. If you had told the young woman who once gave up her womb for love that this is how it would end, she may not have believed you, I said, my voice steady. But I have learned that real motherhood isn't just biology, it's sacrifice, strength, and the will to rise after betrayal. I raised my glass. To every woman who has been deceived. To every heart that has been broken. To every queen who rebuilt her own crown. I smiled. You are not done. You are being refined. The crowd stood. Applauding. Cheering. And for the first time in years, I felt whole. Not because I had regained what was lost. But because I had chosen what to keep. The end. Thank you for watching.